This story begins deep in the forest, where, right in the middle of the jungle, there was a house. A family lived there, a mother and her 2 children. The children were named Sam and Nolan. They had been living there for quite a long time, because their mother believed that the human world had ended, wiped out by a dark force. A force that spread like a virus, known as Even. You could call it a demon, or evil itself. Even was a shape-shifting entity. Whoever it touched would lose their mind, they would completely lose control and turn violently against their own loved ones. It would manipulate its victims by taking on different forms, deceiving them, drawing them closer, and then choosing them. That's how the world came to an end. But somehow, this family survived. They had built their house in a way that kept them protected from the entity. Even though this evil could go anywhere, it couldn't enter their home, which kept them safe. Whenever they had to go outside, they would tie a rope around themselves before stepping out. That rope was securely tied to the house. Even couldn't touch the rope, and as long as someone was tied to it, they couldn't be harmed. So, using these ropes, they managed to survive deep in the forest. They would tie themselves up and venture out for food, sometimes hunting, and sometimes collecting fruits and vegetables from a small greenhouse they had built nearby. But Even was always around. Strangely, only the children's mother could actually see it. The kids hadn't seen it yet, but their mom had warned them clearly, Even could appear in the form of an animal too, and you wouldn't even know it's the entity. So if you step outside without the rope and Even touches you, it's all over. But living with this much caution wasn't easy. Naturally, food and resources were scarce in the jungle. They even had a dog, but they could only feed it a little, because they barely had enough food for themselves. The mother had set some strict rules, which she reminded her children of again and again, so they wouldn't make any mistakes. She also told them stories to help them understand just how dangerous the outside world was. She explained that their father had also been touched by the evil, and because of that, she had been forced to kill him. That evil has come before me many times, she said. Sometimes it took the form of my father, sometimes my mother, sometimes even my husband. Once, it came as a little girl pretending to be hurt. But I didn't help her. I killed her, because I knew how cunning that thing truly is. After these grim warnings, they would go to sleep. But one night, a frog's croaking kept the mother from falling asleep. She went outside to check, but quickly realized, there was no frog. And with that, she understood, this was the work of the evil. Then, she actually saw it, the terrifying evil, and it shook her to the core. But instead of reacting, she ignored it and quietly went back inside. This shows us just how dangerous Even is, and how this family fights death every single day just to stay alive. The next morning, the mother decided to take both her children into the forest with her to look for food. Before leaving, they prayed, asking for their house and their lives to be protected. Whatever they found in the forest, insects, frogs, small animals, anything edible, they collected it all. In the harsh winters, survival became even harder, so even things that weren't normally considered food, they had to eat. Here, we begin to notice a difference between the 2 brothers, Sam and Nolan. Though they were siblings, they were very different. Sam followed every rule his mother had set. He trusted her completely and believed everything she said. But Nolan, he was skeptical. Sometimes, he would even secretly break the rules just to find out the truth for himself. He wanted to know, what does Even actually look like? Does it really exist? Or is this just something my mother made up? Has the outside world really ended, or is there still something left out there? Nolan had asked his mother these kinds of questions many times before. But her answer was always the same, this is the devil's trick. He's putting these thoughts in your head so that you'll start doubting me. So that you'll stop trusting me, and step outside. That's when he'll come for you. That's why you can't see Even, because he's already trying to manipulate you. While they were out looking for food, Nolan spotted a bird's nest with eggs inside. One of the eggs fell to the ground. But his rope wasn't long enough to reach it. To get to the egg, he'd have to remove the rope. He was about to do it. But Sam stopped him, warning him, if you untie the rope, Even will come and get you. So for the moment, Nolan didn't remove the rope. But as they were about to leave, he stepped on Sam's rope out of frustration, angry at being held back. The rope loosened, and Sam fell down, landing hard with his foot twisted and caught in the tree roots. He was hurt badly. Because the rope was tangled, Nolan couldn't get to him. So he blew the emergency whistle, calling out for their mother. We see Sam, now lying there in fear, something about the forest doesn't feel right. He's starting to sense it. Their mother heard the whistle and quickly tied the rope around herself, hurrying in their direction. But soon, she reached the end of the rope, she couldn't go any further. Without thinking twice, she untied herself and rushed down to her children. She helped them both up and started bringing them back quickly. But then, we see it. The evil, this time in the form of an old, terrifying woman, speaking in a twisted, eerie voice. She started moving toward them. But just in time, the mother tied the rope back around herself and her children. Now Even couldn't touch them. Only the mother could see the creature. The children couldn't, but by looking at their mother's terrified face, they knew. Even was near. They rushed back to the house. The mother was furious. She picked up a knife and demanded the boys repeat the rules. She wanted to be absolutely sure that her children still remembered them. Because, according to their mother, if either child failed to repeat the rules, it would mean one thing, that the evil had taken hold of them. But when both boys repeated the rules correctly, she breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God, they were still okay. However, Sam's foot was badly injured. It might have been a fracture. Their mother had built a basement-like room in the house, a place where she would often lock the boys in to make them sit quietly, think about even, imagine it, believe it was real, and most importantly, feel fear. Because in her eyes, fear was what kept them alive. And whenever she sat outside the house alone, Even would often appear to her, trying to talk, trying to lure her in. That day, it came as her husband, speaking gently. But she ignored it. After what happened in the forest, Nolan's doubts only grew stronger. He even asked his brother, when your rope came loose, did you feel anything strange? Did you see anything? Sam hesitated, then said, I don't remember. But Nolan said, I do. I was right there. And honestly, I didn't feel anything weird. I didn't see anything creepy or strange. I'm starting to think there is no Even. Maybe it's all in Mom's imagination. Maybe the outside world is still out there, alive. But Sam wasn't interested in Nolan's doubts, he believed his mother completely. Nolan had a condition, he sleepwalked. So their mom had tied tiny bells to his ankles at night, just in case he ever got out of bed. That way, she'd hear him and stop him before he accidentally walked out of the house in his sleep. One night, their mom shared something personal. I used to live in the city, back before all this started. I was a completely different person. But when the world ended, I changed too. I didn't come here to hide. I came here to survive. And now, we're fighting to stay alive every day. She had a snake tattoo on the back of her neck. She said, Even came to me many times in the form of a snake. That's why I got this tattoo, so it won't recognize me again. Nolan looked at her and asked, but Mom, isn't it possible that other people might have survived too? I mean, how can it be that only our house is special? His mother replied gently, Son, you should be grateful you're alive. Don't overthink things. This house, it's the only thing protecting us. Time passed, and slowly, their food supplies began to run out. Eventually, the mother had no choice but to feed her children tree leaves and bark. They were nearly impossible to swallow, but there was nothing else to eat. Then, one night, Nolan had a terrifying nightmare. He dreamed Even was pulling him into a well. When he woke up, it was dark, and he was outside the house. With no rope tied to him. He had sleepwalked again, this time all the way out. He hadn't even realized it. His mother found him just in time and brought him back inside. But she was suspicious. She started asking him questions, testing him, trying to make sure he wasn't possessed by the evil. After that, she locked him in the basement again. She believed that fear would purify him, cleanse his soul. That was her method, isolate him, make him think of Even, make him afraid, so he would survive. But that night changed everything for Nolan. He was now sure, there is no Even. If it were real, he thought, it would have killed me that night. He told Sam, we need to leave. I believe the outside world still exists. There's no danger out there. Mom's just, not well anymore. She won't leave, but if we stay, we'll die of hunger. Sam hesitated. But what about Mom? We can't just leave her here alone. Unbeknownst to them, their mother was standing outside, listening to everything, and it broke her heart. The next morning, she showed them an old camera and some old photographs, pictures from before all of this happened. She took new photos of herself and the boys, holding the camera with trembling hands. She did this because she feared they were going to leave her. Then she sat them down and, with deep sorrow, said, I have to tell you something, we have no food left. The only option now is to kill the dog. If we do that, we can survive for another month. Nolan was devastated. He loved the dog. Once again, he began to question her. And she snapped. You see? This is what Even does. He's turning you against me, against your family, so he can destroy all three of us. Even though it tore her apart, she prepared to kill the dog. She picked up her crossbow and got ready. But before she could do it, Nolan stepped in. He stood in front of the dog, holding a knife. His voice trembled with defiance, there is no Even. Mal, after hearing what I said, cut his mother's rope and locked her inside the greenhouse to make her understand that there was no evil here, that their fears were baseless. But just then, evil appeared again before the mother, this time in the form of a woman. It started moving towards her. The mother didn't want to die at its hands, especially since this year it had already tried to take both her children's lives. So, she took a piece of glass and slashed her own throat, and the mother died. Mal, who had done all this, quickly ran away to find Nolan. When he entered and saw his mother's lifeless body, he was completely shattered and broke down crying. Seeing this, Nolan also felt terrible. He regretted not listening to his mother and realized with a true heart that yes, evil really does exist. Overwhelmed with guilt, he tied himself up with a rope. Meanwhile, Sam's health started to deteriorate as he wasn't receiving proper medical care. Their situation became even more difficult now that their mother was gone. They had to do whatever it took to survive. They were living according to the rules their mother had set for them. But, as expected, they were struggling a lot, especially with the shortage of food. One day, while Nolan was out searching for food in the forest, he accidentally ended up on a road. He called out loudly for help, but no one responded. When he returned home, he found a man following him. The man said, I heard your cries for help. Are you okay? Do you need help? I'm a hacker. I was passing through here with my daughter when I heard your voice and came to help you. But Nolan was suspicious and felt that maybe this was evil disguised as a hacker, following him. The children didn't trust the man either. Sick Sam even came out holding his mother's crossbow and threatened the man. Although his health was poor, his anger towards evil gave him strength, and he wanted revenge. The man tried to calm them down, saying, "Look, I didn't kill your mother. I don't even know anything about this evil you're talking about. I've never met your mother and I'm not here to harm you." And with that, he turned to leave. Nolan told Sam, "Brother, maybe he's telling the truth. He might really be human and not evil. Don't kill him." But Sam, driven by his genuine thirst for revenge, was not willing to believe any of it. As the man was about to leave, Sam struck him with the cross. An arrow hit the man in the waist, severely wounding him. The man crawled away into the forest. Nolan followed him and found the man had taken his last breath, but before dying, he had managed to call for help. Nolan grabbed the man's bag and returned home. When they opened the bag, they found food, some essential supplies, and pictures. Seeing these, they realized that the man was truly human because they were starving and had desperately needed food. That night, Sam heard a voice outside. When he went out to check, he saw a little girl who said, "I've come looking for my dad. He told me to stay in the car, but it's night now, and he hasn't returned." Hearing this, Sam was shocked and filled with regret. He had killed a real person. So, he confessed the truth to the girl, telling her that he thought the man was evil and had killed him out of fear. The girl got scared and started running away. Sam chased after her, but fear began to overwhelm him. He started seeing evil spirits all around him. The scene cuts to Nolan, who had gone into the forest searching for his brother. He felt as if evil had taken control of Sam. When Nolan returned home, he found Sam in a daze, completely changed. Sam tried to kill his own brother, and then set the house on fire. He trapped Nolan inside the house, where Nolan saw the vision of their mother. Nolan quickly hid downstairs and faced the harsh truth. Because of the fire, rescuers arrived and saved both of them, pulling them out of the burning house. Nolan saw that the world had not ended. Everything was as their mother had said. In fact, they had been kept captive, the world outside was still intact and thriving. Afterward, we see Sam's camera and pictures lying in the forest. The pictures were taken when Sam set the fire, and in the pictures, the evil presence's hand could be seen on Sam's shoulder. This showed that the evil existed, but only in their family, not in the world at large. Their mother had lied to them about the outside world to keep them locked away, fearing that if they went outside, the evil would go with them and destroy the whole world. But now, since the evil had left with Sam, perhaps no one could stop the world from ending. And maybe, their mother's words were true, the evil had already destroyed the entire world. And with this terrifying ending, the story concludes.